This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome, and a Mazel Tov to all of us. It's a special shir. This is the anniversary shir. We started Chayei Sara 3 years ago, which means this is the fourth Chayei Sara shir. And this is a good opportunity to say thank you. Thank you to the organizers, to the facilitators, the sponsors, Rabbi Vadia for taking the video of this year and posting it. And the truth is, with all the organizations that goes behind the scenes and all the team, if I would be here by myself, there wouldn't be any shir. So the real thank you goes to all those who participate physically here and those in different places in the world. And got to say thank you for the past. V'soida al ha'avar u'v'tfila al ha'asid. And davening for the future. Ko yiten Hashem v'cho Yosef HaKadosh Baruch Hu Hashem should give us koyach, all of us, to continue to enjoy Torah, learning Torah together. Ulehagdil Torah uleha'adira. Mr. Hashem, an exciting shir about serenity, chesed, shidduchim, burial. This is something we don't normally discuss in the shir. Nichum Aveilim, and much more. Mirtzeh Hashem. I want to dedicate the shir for the Atzlacha of Metzion Ben Dosa and his family. Mirtzeh Hashem should see open, revealed, siyata d'shmaya in everything they do. So everybody is looking for tranquility, a life of serenity. What is the Torah secret? Some people will listen to certain music to calm them down. They will read certain books or whatever it is. They go to different places in the world where there I can clear my head and really be. What is the Torah's trick? The Pasuk says, Vayu Chayei Sara. She lived for 127 years, and the Pasuk again doubles up and says, these were Shnei Chayei Sara. This was the life of Sarah. Rashi, Shnei Chayei Sara means Kulan Shavin L'Toiva. They were all equally good in her eyes. Equally good. She had a life full of nisyonis, tragedies. What's the Kulan Shavin L'Toiva? But Sarah Imenu said, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu handles me, that's exactly what I need for my avodas Hashem. And my avodas Hashem is different than this person's avodas Hashem, and therefore I have my tests that I have to somehow pass. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me those tests. I know that I will be able to pass them, or have the ability to pass them, and therefore no matter what she encountered, Kulam Shavim L'Toiva. That's very good for Rebbe and Sarah, the Tzadekis. How do I apply it? I think the trick is, and this is called Midas HaIshtavus. Choyves Salvavos speaks about Midas HaIshtavus. Everything should be equal in your eyes. Which means when you win the lottery, it's the same HaKadosh Baruch Hu who sent you the tragedy. Sometimes he wants to test us with an Nisayon called wealth. Should all be zoichet to that Nisayon? Balei Musar say that's a much harder test than being poor. So I'm not so sure you want to. When a person is rich, as if he doesn't need the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, just don't stay away from this one. I got this one. I know what to do. When a person is poor, all day long he looks up at the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I need your help. So this Midas HaIshtavus, I think David HaMelech in Tehillim Tes Zayin Pasuk Chet tells us the secret how to have a life of serenity and how to pass this test. It's a pasuk we all know. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi tamid. What does that mean? Shivisi means shave. Everything is equal. How? David HaMelech says, how? Shivisi? Do you want to know how to achieve that? Hashem lenegdi sami. Place Hashem in front of you right at all time. If you place the Kodesh Baruch Hu, He's right here with me. He's holding my hands. He's watching me. If you truly believe His Ashgacha Pratis and the Kodesh Baruch Hu is there with you, Hashem lenegdi sami. He's always there. Everything is going to be shave, equal in your eyes, if you believe and if you know. You have this recognition that Kodesh Baruch Hu is right here. I think that's the trick. You don't need to waste your time in listening to certain music and read certain material. Travel different places. That's the secret. Shivisi Hashem lenegdi sami. I said before, normally in a shir, I don't think it's customary to speak about inyanim of burial. But we like to be provocative in this year, especially on an anniversary year. And therefore, listen to Ashayla. Reuven died. Baruch Dayan Emes. Reuven ve'al yamois. But he died. And they want to bury him, so they wanted to bury him right next to his father. There's an empty spot right next to his father. They came there and they wanted to start digging, but then they saw his father is here and they want to bury him right here. But right here is Shimon. And Shimon and Reuven, their whole life, enemies. I don't know if you can say that, Jewish people, enemies. They hated each other. You can't go to the other side of the father, everything is taken already. So you have two choices. Either ignore Shimon and bury Reuven right next to his father, or go look somewhere else. What's the right thing to do? To be buried next to one's father, mishpacha, or a person who couldn't get along with throughout his life, it's not going to be a very restful place. For Reuven, maybe it's not Kedai. What do you say, Rabbi Yisrael?
This was an enemy of the one who was to be buried.
Reuven and Shimon, enemies. Hated each other. You want to pay for it? If you dig, you can't put a mechitza up there. You have to dig down. It's an expensive deal. There's no room. It's a small cemetery.
How is Reuven and Shimon hate each other?
How? Because they weren't looking at when the Torah says, "Ve'ahavta l'recha kamoicha," they skipped over that pasuk. Very unique. I know, very unique. And maybe that's the reason we're in Galus for 1957 years and change. Because we didn't learn that pasuk very well. There's another pasuk in the Torah. Lo sisna es achicha bilvavecha. Don't hate your brother in your heart. But a lot of psukim, so 2 psukim they skipped over.
Should that place be reserved for the father's wife?
She's already buried somewhere else, in Chutz La'aretz. By the way, he divorced her many years ago. There is no wife.
Can't we assume that since they're both in the world of MS, that they've already done to shoot for, death?
You sure? You can assume that. He's saying once you're in MS, there's no more fighting anymore. You can assume that until tomorrow and ignore what the Shulchan Aruch says. Shulchan Aruch Yoredei Shin Samech Beis Seif Vav Ein Koivrim Soinim Zeh El Zeh. The Shulchan Aruch clearly says you're not allowed to bury a person who hated the guy right next to him. You're not allowed to. So Shulchan Aruch did assume that there's Sason Vesimcha and the Chavrusa upstairs. No, Rabbi said, what do we do? He's waiting for the Chevre Kadisha is waiting for the psak. Shabbos soon. Shulchan Aruch said no, but there's another Shulchan Aruch. It's in Samech Beis. Samech Shin Samech Gimel.
Move the father to the side.
You can't, Chas v'Shalom, to start moving people. Shulchan Aruch, Yoredei Shin Samech Gimel, Seif Aleph. Noyach lo la'adam, arev lo la'adam, shiye kavur etzel avoisav. A person feels satisfied, pleasure, when he is buried with his forefathers. Arev lo la'adam, it's the same Shulchan Aruch. That's our question. You have as if contradicting seifim in the Shulchan Aruch. What do we do?
Abu Avinu and Sarah, they were not buried near their ancestors, were they? They were buried in Mount Pelah. They did not get this comfort in a sense.
So you're saying they're ignoring Shulchan Aruch. Not everybody can be zoiche. Not everybody will do it. Not everybody can do it. But when one can, and in theory we can in this case, there is a spot there, and you can, why not fulfill the words of the Shulchan Aruch?
Adam Rishon was buried. Adam was buried by Adam Rishon.
It's not exactly his father.
If it's, I would say you should avoid doing the Isser. It sounds like it's an Isser, and the other one is just a bracha, yafeh, rada.
Not say there's no say you have it's a positive.
You say when a positive clashes with a negative, the positive overrides.
No.
Yes. We have a rule.
1 second, if it's
We have a rule. We have a rule. When a mitzvah's esek, positive commandment, bangs into a negative one, the positive one overrides the negative one. But this is not a mitzvah's esek. It's not a mitzvah's esek. So you can't apply this rule anyways.
There's another issue. It will cause machloket with the family of the other guy.
Shimon was buried there.
So there is that's another consequence.
It's similar that we're talking only from Reuben's perspective right now, and next to his father, next to Shimon, but Shimon also is going to be a father of Shimon.
Oh. What's the source to bury a person next to his father? he commands Yosef, makes him take a shvua. V'shachavti im avotai, I want to be buried with Avraham and Yitzchak. And he says to him, Unusatani Mitzrayim, take me out of there. Take me out of Mitzrayim. Ukvartani, it doesn't say Ukvartani be'eretz Yisrael. You should bury me bikvuratam, where they are buried. You see his makpid? We find many examples of that in the Tanakh. In Melachim Aleph, Perek Beis, Pasuk Lamed, Yoav was supposed to be killed. Shlomo HaMelech was commanded by his father David to kill Yoav, because Yoav killed the two heads of the army, Avner ben Ner and Amasa ben Yeser. What did Yoav do? He ran to the Mizbeach and held on to the corners. How is that going to help you? Asks the Radak over there. It's like a Gemara in Makos Taf Yud. Medrash Rabbah and Bamid Rabbah. Yoav, you're a Talmid Chochem. You're the head of the Sanhedrin. Yoshev, what's it called? Yoshev b'sheves Tachkemoini. He was the head of the Sanhedrin. Don't you know it's not going to help you? The Pasuk in the Torah says, Me'im mizbechi tikachenu lamut. It's not going to help you to hold on to the Mizbeach. So what are we trying to achieve? But Yoav had a plan. Yoav knew that in the cemetery, there is where we bury our people, but there's two more sections. Harugei Beis Din. Skila and Sefer have their section. Hereg and Chenek have their section, and they're not buried with the regular people. So you have to figure, wait a second, if they're going to take me to Beis Din, and they're going to kill me over there, I won't be able to be buried bikvuras avoisai. No good, you know what? I'll stay here. I'm going to die here out of starvation. They can shoot me, whatever it is. I'm dying here. If I die here and not in Beis Din, so they will take me to be buried bikvuras avoisai, next to my father. That's what I want. That's how important it was for Yoav to be buried dafka next to his father.
What's the kesher of the Mizbeach?
I'm holding on to the Mizbeach.
Why not hold something else? Why hold?
Because there's the discussion, when does the Mizbeach absorb the killer? If it's on top of the Mizbeach, if it's holding on from the sides of the Mizbeach, is it a Kohen or is it a Zar? Could be that he made a mistake. The Gemara says he made two mistakes. But this was his calculation. I don't want them to take me to Beis Din. Let him kill me here. Let me die here. If I die in Beis Din, I'm going to lose this unbelievable thing that the Shulchan Aruch tells us to do, to be buried, if one can, by his forefathers. The Kolbo was one of the Rishonim. He writes as a Maila to be buried with the Mishpacha because Trias HaMeisim comes, the Mitzvah soon, speedily, to a cemetery near you. You rise along with your family. It's a big Maila. On the other hand, we say the Shulchan Aruch said that you should do it, and he quotes the Yerushalmi, that a person is Alevlo. It's pleasurable to a person to be buried next to his family. But the Shulchan Aruch also tells us, and this is based on the Tzava of Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid, that you do not bury people who hated each other next to each other. So this Shaila was asked to the Shvus Yankov. Shvus Yankov is the author of the Iyun Yaakov, one of the Gedolei HaPoskim about 400 years ago, Rabbi Yaakov Reisha. And he says, to be buried next to your family? It's in the Torah. We see examples in the Torah, in the Nach. This idea of not to be buried next to your person who hated you, or you hated him, with all due respect, it's the Rishonim. It's Savas, Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid. It's not, it doesn't appear anywhere in Shas. Not in Bavli, not in Yerushalmi, it's not in the Midrashim. So when you have a Torah-dik source versus one of the Rishonim, the Torah wins. And therefore he says, go ahead and bury him, like you said, next to his family. But he says, wait a second. This whole calculation is very good for the Niftar, for Reuven. But like you said, but what about Shimon? What about Shimon? What you're doing is trespassing. Shimon's already there before. So you're coming, and now he's not happy. And you're going to bury Reuven right next to Shimon. Shimon says, this is wrong. I was here first. I acquired my place. What you're doing is, you're doing a favor to Reuven, and you're making Reuven a tzaddik on account of someone else. You're chav leachrini. You're causing damage. You're harming someone else. You're harming Shimon. Shimon was here before. He acquired his place, his kana mekoimo, and Mimeli Reuven is not allowed to come here. He's trespassing. So based on this, what should we do? Go look for a different plot. But, says the Shvus Yankov, this calculation is right the first 12 months. In the first 12 months, Midas Sadin, strict judgment, is on the person who's nifta. So if Shimon was buried within the last year, this calculation is right, and get Reuven out of here. Go find somewhere else. But if it's already after 12 months, I'm not sure they're sitting a chavrusa up there in peace, but Midas Sadin is not hovering over Shimon, and therefore you can go ahead with the calculation that we said first, that this is from the Torah, this is only from Rishonim, and you can bury Reuven right next to Shimon. But the Beis Lechem Yehuda over there on Shulchan Aruch is his Agaos, and Yoredei Simin Shin Samech Beis says, where did you get this chiluk? The Beis Yosef who brings this Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid, all the other poskim who bring this Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid don't bury Soinim, one who hate each other next to each other. They don't make this chiluk between 12 months or more than 12 months. Where'd you get it from? And therefore, it's not right because of Shimon's calculation to ever bury Reuven next to him. Go find a different plot. Chiddush. But! How many times did you say but already? It seems that all these calculations, both of the Shvus Yankiv and the Beis Lechem Yehuda, are only right when Shimon was buried here first, and he actually acquired his place first. If Reuven bought this place next to his father 20 years ago, and Shimon also bought it 18 years ago, or half a year ago, and he happened to die first, but this is already Reuven's place. He is oiseh betoch shelo. He is doing something in my place. I can do whatever I want. I'm not trespassing. So if that's the case, if Reuven acquired it before Shimon, in many places the Cheved Kadisha or the city gives you a plot for free. If you're a resident here, you get one for free. The Cheved Kadisha gives you for free. So then Shimon came first. Shimon is right, you can't bury him next to Reuven. But if Reuven acquired it before Shimon, it's his. It's his, you can do whatever you want, and you can bury Reuven right next to his father.
We're going to shine on Shimon when he died. He shouldn't have been buried there. Perhaps.
Mistama he didn't know. We have to assume that, Mistama he figured by the time Reuven, we're already going to do Shalom. By the time I die, by the time Reuven died, we're going to do Shalom. But Mistama they didn't know. So Lechoira, you can't take away the right of Reuven if he purchased it ahead of time before Shimon. But otherwise, the Beis Lechem Yehuda, Lechoira, will rule.
But?
That's it. We're moving to more. You're going to have more bus later.
Is this like a tzavah for Yehuda Chatzit to his...
Is it what?
Is this like a tzavah for Yehuda Chatzit to his descendants? Can we limit it to...
It depends if you're Sephardi or Ashkenazi. The Sephardi, I want to say, take lightlier than Ashkenazi, that's tzavah Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid. But this is not going to help us. This is more about Shidduchim and other things. This, the Shulchan Aruch, who's kind of a Sephardi, he wrote it in his Shulchan Aruch. No comments from the Rama over there. It's just one liner, Seif Vav, very short line, and Koivrim Soinim Zeh, they're finished. Who's saying this? Shulchan Aruch. He writes in the Beis Yosef, he brings it to Rabbi Yehuda HaChosid, so he decided that this is an Indian we should take seriously. So it's not going to help us Sephardi Ashkenazi.
What's the between what and text? What's the conclusion of the...
You see clearly here there are sources, Arev lo la'adam sheyenach etzel avoisav, not by his wife. So if you had to choose, lichoira avoisav. But it is customary, obviously, to be buried next to one's wife, and there are sources to that. But lichoira, when you have to present these two against each other, avoisav overrides.
It's Yisrael versus Lawrence. It's Yisrael versus Lawrence. I mean, it's Yisrael fathers and Lawrence.
Chas v'shalom to go outside. Chas v'shalom. Ksubis Kuf Yud Aleph. And soon we'll get to this in Mitzvah Hashem. So Sefta and Avodah Zarah. One who's buried in Eretz Yisrael is like he's buried under the Mizbeach. It's an atonement for all his sins. So you want to be buried to have an Arev lo. He'll be comfortable, he'll be enjoyable with all your sins. Not Kedai. Obviously, one who's buried here, you're not allowed to take him out to Chutz La'aretz.
What do you mean, Rabbi? Atonement for your sins? Like all the prime ministers that are buried here, they're considered the significant atonement for their sins now.
The Gemara also says a lot of different things. That if you do this, all your sins are erased. Mishnah Berurah brings lahalacha every single day in Psukei Zimra. If you say Az Yashir, Song of a Sea, Besimcha, for 2 minutes you're happy, all your sins are erased. What did he do? Hard to understand these things. So many statements of Chazal. If you do this, muftach lo shu ben ha'olam haba. On the other hand, walking in Eretz Yisrael, 4 Amos. You don't even have to, anyways you're walking, you're going to the Makolet. On the other hand, many statements. So what if a person did both? He walked not 4 amos, he walked 8 amos, a big share. And then 2 seconds later he does something which takes away his share in the world to come. What are you going to do then?
Walk another 4 hours.
And then he does, Chafetz Chaim explains, when a person does that mitzvah, and there's many examples, for Chazal's statements, Muftach lo, ben ha'olam haba, chelek ha'olam haba. When he does that, a malach is created that will advocate for the person, he has a share in the world to come. When a person sins, and one of those things that Chazal say, doesn't have a share in the world to come, a malach is created from that says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, don't give him it, don't let him in. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu will decide. They're going to argue, fire it out, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu will decide. And maybe when it says, Muftach lo shu ben ha'olam haba, ultimately he gets to go in. It doesn't mean that he first doesn't have to go through a little cleansing period in a very hot place. But he is assured of what to come. The size, I'm not so sure. How comfortable it is, don't know. Padded seat, how padded, not so sure. Reclining, don't know. When he's going to get there, also don't know. These are 2 angels going to fight it out. He created something that can enable him to go there. You have to use the same type of mahalach in order to explain this. There's so many. Tonight, Friday night, Shabbos Kuf Yutes, the Gemara says, if you say, tonight, what's going to happen to you? All your sins are erased. The angel puts his hand on your head, don't know if you ever felt it, and he says, Pasuk from Yeshaya. That's it, no more sins. For what? For what? He said, Vayechulu. Gevaldik. 2 seconds later, go back home. Maybe you do something. No, that's it. Finished. Okay, what's the difference? Oh, wait, till next Friday. Hard to understand what it means, but they're showing us the maila of these things. What's that?
Where's the Shuvah right?
Psukkah de Zimra. Psukkah de Zimra, Az Yashir.
In the...
I'm Psukkah de Zimra.
I heard that the Moshe Stelbuch said that last time Avraham Avinu takes everyone out of Gehenom. Whoever has a Brit Milah can't enter. So they asked him, so no one can go to Gehenom. Everyone has a Brit Milah. He said there's also a back door.
Hear that? Last week we spoke about Avraham Avinu's koyach, that he doesn't allow people to come into Gehenom, Eruv and Yutes, or, according to the Tanchuma and Lech Lecha Siman Chaf, I think, he pulls people out of Gehenom. So according to that, no Jewish person can ever go into Gehenom. So Moshe Sternbuch Shlita said, you're right, they can't enter through the main door. Well, what about the back doors? There's many back doors, all kinds of entrances. If a person needs to go there for a little period, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to find a way. Somehow HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows all the different secret entrances, even to Gehenom. Medrash Tanchuma in Chayei Sara, our parasha, Siman Beis says, the beginning of the Torah is Chesed. Chassan and Kala, Adam Arishon, Chava, HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes for them a chuppah, Chesed, Chesed, Chesed. He does their shidduch, he closes them, he does everything for them. The middle of the Torah is Chesed. The Medrash brings an example. HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to be seen to Yaakov when he saw him crying for Dvorah, who just passed away. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes, Chesed, Nichum Aveilim. The end of the Torah is also Chesed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu buries Moshe Rabbeinu. Says the Medrash, this Torah is all about Chesed. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that Avraham Avinu buries his wife Sarah, he says to him, wow, wait a second. Chesed, that's my midah. You hold on to my midah? Shh. Ooh, wow, what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to shower you with all the chesed in the earth. All the chesed in the world. Avraham Avinu buried Sarah after many, many years together, 102 years. He cries, eulogizes her. Does that make sense? Does that make sense to cry for the biggest tzaddikus in the world who you married to for 102 years? Does it make sense? It's not a true question. Does that make sense? Yes. Is it natural? Yes. But Chazal treated it a heroic act. Wow! You buried your wife? Wow, what I'm going to do to you. The following pasuk, that Avraham zaken baba yamim, he got longevity for that. Ve'Hashem berach es Avraham, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed Avraham with everything. Why? What do you mean why? Because you were willing to bury your wife. You're such a tzaddik. You hold on to my midah of chesed. And that's the only chesed Avraham Avinu ever did. His whole life, his whole essence is one big chesed.
After he got the bracha berach Hashem not.
The Medrash says, Maksiv Achrav, what does it say after this parsha? V'Akadosh Baruch Hu blessed Avram, and he made him all. He died at 175 years old. Longevity for what? Because you hold on to my midah of chesed. I'm going to shower you with chesed. For what? This is the example. Last week, Avram Avinu is weak and sick, and he's 99, and he's after bris milah, and he runs like Meshigi after 3 Arabs to do anything for them. Oh, chesed, chesed, chesed. His whole life, he opens the doors in the desert, and the AC is not, working very well in the middle of the desert when you open all the doors and windows. Come in, come in, come in. Chesed, 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 chesed. But he buried his wife. Oh, what a tzaddik.
We say that mitzvah is Hashem Gomra, and this is the level of the nisyonot. So maybe this is when it kicks in.
He's going to continue to perform chesed after. He didn't die, only his wife did. He did chesed before.
Famous 10 nisyonot, so he has the jackpot.
But you're bringing me not an example of an Nisaran. You're bringing me an example of the essence of Ram. You are a chesed machine. You know how? Because they see that you bury your wife. Is there anyone that doesn't bury his wife? That should not stand out as something so special and unique. It's not. Says the Alter of Slobodka. The ultimate in doing chesed is to perform chesed in a way that the recipient is not accompanied with an uncomfortable feeling. I owe him. Whenever you see him in the street, he did such a big favor for me. Who is the person that you can perform chesed for, and he doesn't feel that he owes you? People who are closest to you, your kids. When your kids grow up, they think everything, my parents should do everything for me. But as they grow up, they also start feeling uncomfortable. Look at these two people. They're moist and nefesh for us. They do everything for us. Also, they're uncomfortable. The only person that it's 100% chesed, it's your spouse. It's only natural, makes sense. You should cling to her, she should cling to you, and become one. And a husband and wife should constantly think, all day long, how can I invest in making my spouse's life better? What can I do for them? That's the ultimate in chesed. Says the Alter Slobodka, that's why the Torah is so impressed, because the Torah wants to plant the seeds of a good marriage for us, to learn from Avraham Avinu. The ultimate in chesed, yes, chesed is done to everyone, but you should know the chesed starts at home. It's a Torah slogan. We started it first. Who? Avraham Avinu. Chesed starts at home because that's the ultimate, the most perfect, complete chesed. Because the person who's the recipient doesn't feel uncomfortable, and that's the ultimate chesed, and that's how we should strive to do all chasadim. That the person who receives it should not feel uncomfortable. We said before burying in Eretz Yisrael a tremendous chus. It's a Tosefta in Avodah Zorah, Perek Hey, Beis, and Ksubis Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph. One who is buried in Eretz Yisrael, it's as if he's buried under the Mizbech. One who is buried in Eretz Yisrael doesn't have to have Gilgul Mechilos. And one who's buried in Eretz Yisrael rises first when Tchias HaMesim comes. But, what if a person is not so lucky? He dies in Chutz La'aretz, and there is no way to bring him here. He has to be buried in Chutz La'aretz. Where is the best place to be buried in Chutz La'aretz, if you had to choose? A mountain, a valley, a waterfall, a canyon, I don't know. In Chutz La'aretz, the person died in Belgium, in South Africa, in the States, wherever he is. What's the best place that he should look to be buried in? His forefathers were in a different country. He died there by himself. What's the physical location best to be buried in Chutz La'aretz? What'd you say?
I was going to say Jewish cemetery, but you said.
I've had a Jewish cemetery, but now we have to build a Jewish cemetery. Where should we do it? Or in a place where there is no Jewish cemetery, but he has to be buried. Where should he go?
By the sea.
What's that?
By the sea.
By the sea.
Rebbe Meir.
You like to hear the...
No, but Rebbe Meir was
Wow. What is he saying? What is he saying? He's saying Yerushalmi. Maseches Kilayim, Perek Tes, based on the Pnei Moshe's interpretation, Rebbe Meir was in a place called Asia. It's not a continent. It's a place called Asia. He's about to die. He told the people there, make sure that they take me to Eretz Yisrael and bury me in Eretz Yisrael. And he asked to be buried by the sea, on the beach. Why? Says the Pnei Moshe, there's some kind of a shaychus, to the water, to Eretz Yisrael. Because there's a pasuk in Tehillim. Tehillim Chavdaled, Ki hu al yamim yesada. He, Kodesh Baruch Hu, founded Eretz Yisrael upon seas. So when you're buried next to the water, it's as if you're connected, said shaychus, in Eretz Yisrael. Chidish. Comes the Sefer Darash Avraham from Izmir, from Turkey. Rabbi Nichum Aveilim Ashkenazi, and he says, praiseworthy are our forefathers in Izmir, in Turkey, that they purchased a place for the cemetery, unlike all other people, that they do it in the city or right outside the city. They purchased a place right next to the water. Why? To have this tzad shaychus, to have this connection, to give the schus to the person who dies here and he can't be buried in Eretz Yisrael. It's tzad shaychus. That's what he says. Comes Chayei Palaji. Where's he from? Also Izmir, Turkey. And his sefer An Yerushalmi is L'chaim B'Yerushalayim. And he writes much more than tzad shaychus. It's as if he is buried in Eretz Yisrael. Not to believe. He says, Baruch Hashem, our cemetery here in Izmir is by the water, and a person who is buried there, it's as if he is buried in Eretz Yisrael. Not to be believed. This all doesn't work. According to the Haggaos and the Yerushalmi of Reb Chaim Elazar Shapira of Munkach, and the Yerushalmi that you quoted, because he says, Reb Meir said, bury me over there by the water, not because I'm already in Eretz Yisrael. Otherwise I don't have to go to Eretz Yisrael. It's a practical reason. When they come from Eretz Yisrael, it'll be much easier for them. They can turn around and go back and have to waste time and spend time in Izmir. So according to him, it's not going to work. But the Chaim Palaji understood it totally different.
Did we say that, what did Yosef's, someone was buried underwater at the beginning, right? And was someone left underwater until they could bring him?
Yosef, much?
Was that?
That's Yosef.
Okay, no, so I'm saying maybe from there also you have some raya.
If Reb Chaim Palaji would bring a raya from there, Reb Chaim Palaji knows this.
So
If he decided to bring this as a source, we don't bury inside the water.
right, but until they brought
Adama.
some minyan to keep him there.
Yashuv le'admasoy. We bury in the Adama, not in the water. Oinen. This is stuff that we don't usually discuss in Shidduchim. Hope it's not recorded. An oinen. Who's the oinen? A relative died, and the person was not buried yet. So until he's going to be buried, his halachic status is such of an oinen, which means he's patur from all mitzvahs eseh. He doesn't do any patur mitzvahs. He still can't eat chazir. But he doesn't do any mitzvahs eseh. It's not only that he can't, that he doesn't, he's patur, that he's exempt from saying shehakol and asher yatzah. He's not allowed to. And if you hear him saying a bracha, you don't say amen. It's a bracha levatala. When he sees Godol Ador passing by, should he stand up? He is patur, but it's also bizarre to the Torah. He says, Godol Ador. Rambam is walking right in front of you. Rambam, and I'm sitting. Can it be? Can the Oinen say this? I'm exempt from all mitzvahs. Bizarre in the Torah? Yeah, but I'm exempt from all mitzvahs. Let's look at the Yavel. Does the Yavel stand when somebody comes to visit him? Godol Ador comes to visit him. Should he stand? No. Doesn't stand. And he is chayav in mitzvahs. So the person can bring all kinds of reasons why that is. Aruch HaShulchan explains, the minhag is, derech eretz is, when somebody stands up for you, you should say, sit down, sit down, sit down. Shev. If you're saying to the Yavel who stands up for you, sit. Or for a sick person, who also doesn't have to stand up. If he stands up for you and you say, shev, it means, shev be'evlecha, shev be'cholicha. Continue sitting. Don't stay for a shiva to be a mourner. Continue sitting for a long time. Continue being sick. And therefore the minhag is that an avel does not stand, even though he's chayav in mitzvahs. So how much more so an oinen who's patur for mitzvahs? But there's a bizarre in the Torah. Godol Ador is passing by. And lichoira, the same reason will apply. The same reason the Aruch HaShulchan brings us would apply. Because if the Godol Ador sees him standing up, he says, no, sit down. Means shev be'oinenuscha. Continue to be an oinen. We don't want that. The reason lichoira would apply.
Why is it bizarre? He's fulfilling the Torah. It's exactly to what the Torah says.
When I pass by and I see a person sitting, when the Rambam walks by, is not a bizarre in the Torah?
But if he's in on it, it's not.
Does he have a sign, holding a sign? I am an oinen and therefore I'm patur for mitzvahs, and that's why I'm not getting up for Godol Ador.
That's his
That
problem.
people would think that he's...
Whose problem?
The Kodol. Saying that's it. He needs to work on his. Someone doesn't stand up for him.
So this is the shaila I asked Ibn Mitzal Shlita, and he told me the oinen is patur from all mitzvahs eseh, and therefore he doesn't stand. I asked it also to Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Reb Chaim Kanievsky told me you should do a hidu, which means you don't stand up, you just do this, a little hidu. And lichoira, I think, could be that you should be mechalik. If there's an oinen that no one knows is an oinen, there can be potential bizarre in here. Kvod Torah. But if everybody knows he's an oinen, it's in his house, lichoira over there, he is exempt, but Reb Chaim says, do something. Continuing with this oinen. He is flying from one country to the other for the burial. An oinen is exempt from all mitzvahs. Why? Why is he exempt? Busy. Oisek b'mitzvah, patum in a mitzvah. He's engaged in one mitzvah, so he's exempt from others. That's one reason. The other reason the person can bring, kavod habes. I have something a little more important to do than burying my relative, and therefore he's exempt. Based on this, what about an oinen who is flying? And now it's almost not shaykh, because in most planes today, you can still have your cell phone service, but in planes that they still don't, or a shaykh from 10 years ago, only 10 years ago, when nobody had service on the plane. He is not engaged in the mitzvah of burying his relative. He is now flying. He doesn't have any communication with anybody else. So is he chayav in mitzvahs? Should he say Asher Yatzar She'akol, put on tefillin and everything else? The Minchas, why am I asking this? Because the Minchas Shlomo Zayin Auerbach has an unbelievable chiddush. The Minchas Shlomo says an oinen is part of a mitzvahs, but when he goes to sleep, he should say Kriyas Shema and he should say Amapil. He should say a bracha. Because when going to sleep, you're declaring, I'm no longer involved in the mitzvah of Kvura. Oh, so if the exemption is because Kavod HaMeir is because you're involved, you're going to sleep. Why don't you chop a mitzvah? Reb Shlomo Zalman lahalacha paskins that an oinen says Hamapil and Kriyas Shema. Based on that, our friend on the plane is in the same situation. He is declaring, I'm not involved now in the Kvura, so I don't have the exemption called Oisik B'mitzvah Patum in a mitzvah. So should he be chayav in all the mitzvahs? Ashal, I asked the Chaim Kanievsky, Zatzal.
Person sleeping, he's sleeping in order to get koyach.
Good.
Wake up in the morning and do.
But what's the reason he's chayav, says the Shlomo Zalman? No, because you're saying, I'm no longer engaged in the mitzvah. I'm also no longer engaged when I'm on the plane.
Those 2 minutes that he's saying Kriyas Shema, he could have been sleeping already, and that sleep will give him koyach to wake up and do the mitzvah weiter. And I'm sleeping today.
No,
mitzvah.
the exemption comes from the fact that you were involved in something else. I'm not involved. What you're saying, sleeping, is a hachana for tomorrow. I'm not involved in the mitzvah. Involved. I'm calling this guy, I'm preparing this guy. But lichoira, even on the plane, you can be involved. You're writing the hesped. You're preparing what you're going to say to this guy when you get off the plane. You can be involved. But let's say in the case that you're not preparing, and since you don't have communication with anybody else, should we say, lichoira, chazar hadin is just like a person going to sleep? In the bathroom anyways, he can't fulfill mitzvahs. He can't. Technical reason.
So that even without going to the plane, today, the Kadisha does, I mean, there's not so much, once the Kadisha is
yeah, there's a deen called Masrula Katafim. Once you give it over to those people in the language of the Poskim is Katafim. Our language there is Chevra Kadisha. Lichoira, the exemption is no longer. And yet today in most places, if it's in a different country, you're right. But if it's still in your country, the person is still chayav, he's still involved. He's preparing the eulogy, he's going to tell this, okay, you go speak first. No, you speak first. They start arguing about it. He's still involved in the Kvura. There is no Kvod HaMes here. Kvod HaMes is, I can do something related to the Kvura and I don't. Here I can't. I'm limited. There's no service. I don't have communication with the outside world. I asked the Chaim Kanievsky. Chaim Kanievsky tells me, B'chiyai gavna chayav. He's going to be chayav in all mitzvahs. Not everybody agrees. But there are some opinions like Reb Chaim. Reb Chaim told me he's going to be chayav. Chiddush.
Isn't he anxious all the time?
I don't know, ask him. A person who's not anxious. If he is anxious, when you're anxious, you don't say shakol? Not because of kvura. A person who's anxious is exempt from all mitzvahs?
The anxiety is that he's ready at any moment to...
But anxiety is not the reason to exempt him. The reason we exempt him is twofold. Either engaged in a mitzvah or kavod HaMeir. Anxiety is the third reason. That's not brought down.
No, I don't mean the anxiety. It's about his preparedness to become involved if something should happen in the flight.
What's going to happen in the flight?
Well, anything could happen.
Like?
Well, the plane could crash.
Good. So anybody on a plane is exempt from all mitzvahs.
No, he's got particular interest.
Why?
Because his relative is...
so somebody who's flying for his wedding doesn't have particular interest to make sure that the plane doesn't crash? So he's in anxiety also. You're giving us a third reason that doesn't exist by the poskim. I like it, but it doesn't apply.
25 years ago, let's say, so you go to Kuzar, it's very clear. You get the call and you're traveling now to the airport. And you travel to different, there's no phones, you're traveling on the airplane, traveling on the road. What's the difference?
When you're traveling, you open the window and you talk to the guy next to you in the car. You park on the side. In a plane, you're not in control. You're not the pilot. You know for a fact there's 12 hours and you look around, you don't know anybody on the plane. For 12 hours, you will not have any communication with anybody else. So lichoira, you're telling me I'm not engaged in the mitzvah. If he's writing his eulogy, it's not shaykh. But he finished. And now he is with no communication with the outside of the world. So lichoira. From Oinen, we move to Nichum Aveilim. Minag ha'olam is, when one is Menachem the Avel, he sits there, he talks to him, and then he stands up and says, if he's Ashkenazi, Hamakom Menachem Eschem, and if he's Sephardi, Min HaShamayim, Tenuchamu Min HaShamayim. Why do people stand? Why are you standing? Lichoira, from the language of Shulchan Aruch, that they sit and comfort the Avel, you sit. Who told you to stand? I asked the Chaim, Rebbe, how come people stand? He said they don't need to. In order to fulfill this, I dafka sit when I do this. Mitzvah Hashem, I should not have many opportunities. But lemaise, you sit, you go in, you sit, and before you leave, when you're seated, you say this bracha. You wish him all the best in the world. Makim Menachem Eschem. No more pain, no more sorrow. No, we need to stand. If one wants to stand, it's not an issue. But lichoira, we should wonder about minhag ha'olam. Now we move to happier things. Shidduch, but I'm not so sure it's happy. Let's see. Aboisai, listen to this. Reuven deals with Shidduchim. Reuven was upset with Shimon. Shimon is a yeshiva bocher in the Mir in Yerushalayim. Reuven was upset with him. I want to get back at him. Shimon, you have a shidduch tomorrow night. You have a date tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, with a girl. Kalilas Hamalos. She has all the milas in the world. There's no one like her. No one like her. This will be your wife. Wow. Yashikoyach Reuven, thank you very much. So 8 o'clock, sharp. Where is it? In Zichron Yaakov. You know where Zichron Yaakov is? In Haifa. Reuven, thank you so much. Reuven, Shimon is very excited. He travels to Zichron Yaakov. Knocks on the door. The father of the girl opens up. Says, Shalom Aleichem. My name is Shimon. Shalom Aleichem. My name is David. What are you doing here? Have a date with your wife, with your daughter. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm actually 10 seconds early. 8 o'clock. I'm 10 seconds early. He says, what are you talking about? There's no shidduch, no date, no nothing. What are you talking about? They told me. Is your daughter's name? Yeah. I have an 8 o'clock with her. Reuven told me. Reuven? Who's Reuven? Where'd you come from? He says, I came all the way from Yerushalayim. From Yerushalayim? Come on in. Want to drink something? Want to eat something? Oh, shkoyach. He gives them something to eat, something to drink, and they start talking. And they find out exactly what the source of this misunderstanding is. Chutzpahnik, Rasha, Reuven, sent him to Zichron Yaakov for no good reason. Chutzpah. The father feels terrible for Shimon, who traveled all the way and continues to talk to him, and he's so impressed. It's the Talmid Chochem. Midos toivos. Mamsha. Sterling midas. Shimon, I want you to meet my daughter. Rachel! You go on a date now. They went on a date. 3 weeks later, got engaged. Gewaldig. Ad kan HaKofer Aleph. Who comes now as a Kofer Beis? Reuven! What does Reuven want? Shadchanus Geld, give me the money. Shadchanus, am I not the Shadchan? And Shimon says, you chutzpahdik? You chutzpahdik! You sent me to Zichron Yaakov. Yeah, to meet your wife. That in Mitzvah Hashem you're going to spend at least 100 years now with. You're going to have the most amazing children, the most amazing wife, the most amazing. What do you mean? Your whole life has changed now for the better because of me. I'm your Shadchan. What does Shadchan do? He finds you your wife. That's what I did. Would you ever go to Zichron Yaakov, know the address and the family name? It's all because of me. Shadchanus money. No. Rabbi said, does Shimon have to pay or not? No. Nothing. No rachamim. So he finds the best, well, she really is the best girl ever. He's going to be married to her at least 100 years. He's 19 now, so at least 101 years, maybe more. But you're saying nothing.
Someone wants to do another, wants to shoot a person, and Doesn't get a mitzvah.
Doesn't get a mitzvah?
I assume he doesn't. He doesn't.
Do you have to pay when someone saves you? No. Do you have to pay for Shadchanus if you're Ashkenazi? Simen Kuf Pei Hein Shulchan Aruch Choshen Mishpat? Yes. So how can you compare? I'm not talking Karas HaToiv. Maybe we'll address that soon. I'm not talking Karas HaToiv. I'm talking a monetary issue here. Do I have to pay him Tavin Utkilim as a Shadchanus? The language of the Poiskim is he's a Sarsur, he's a Shadchan. Do you have to pay him or not?
It happened despite, but not because it didn't happen.
Good. But let me say you got a wife.
Someone gives you but not because of the shadchan.
What's the definition of a Shadchan? One who tells you where to go. He's not going to go on a date. You go on the date. He tells you the address. He sets it up. Lemaise, he set it up for you. If it wasn't for you, you wouldn't be there.
Someone gives you.
That's why I said it's a happy thing, but l'choyer it's not. Chutzpah.
Someone gives you something that they think is garbage. You know, say, "I'll take this," and then they open it up and it turns out to be something very valuable.
A treasure.
A treasure, and then he says, "You wouldn't have this if it wasn't for me. Pay me for it."
But ahead of time, when Reuven tells you, I'm your shadchan, I'm going to send you to Zichron Yaakov. You're intending that if it works out, you're going to pay. When I give you something, you don't owe me anything.
They didn't want to set up him to deal.
What's that?
You didn't set up the girl.
How did you know where to go to meet your wife if it wasn't for me?
They didn't set up the other side.
What's the tafkid of the shadchan? To give the information, the time, the name of the family, the address. He did.
No, yes,
Not to tell them, but
How did you find your wife? Wasn't it only because of me, says Reuven?
And as Shimon was driving to Zichron Yaakov, he had the intention of paying.
Sure. You hear that? When Shimon was driving to Zichron Yaakov, wasn't he thinking, okay, if this works out and I'm going to marry her, I'm going to pay him? Wasn't it built in when he was driving?
You get to shlish. You should get a shlish.
He wants to give only a third. Why only a third?
There's the maskil and
There is a concept called maschil and goimer. Many times, the shadchan starts and somebody else takes over. For whatever reason, both parties or one of the parties is not happy with this guy, they want to have somebody else. And many times it happens when a younger brother or sister suggests, but they're not a professional shadchan, they don't know how to do it, they don't want to do it. So we take it over, somebody else, a professional, an older person takes over, and he's considered the goimer. Normally, the maschil, the one who started, gets a third, and the one who closes it gets 2/3. In this case, it's only a maschil. So the most we're talking about here is instead of $1,000, we're talking about $300, $333, right? A third. Okay, so 666 we got out of we're only talking about 333. You want to get, anyone wants to give him this, you want to give him third?
Sure, he's a maskil.
He's a maschil.
He mentioned it.
You have a source. You want to take out from my pocket, the burden of proof is on you.
So that means we can just take a phone book and give addresses, and then if any works, then we cash in.
You think anybody's going to listen to you when you send me 100 times to different places? By the time the 90th time comes, I don't know what's going to happen to you. For $1,000, it's not worth it. If it was 100,000, he doesn't get $1. Why? Baba Basra, Kuf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. Tosfos is talking there about a case where the older brother was mishamish his younger brothers. He went to the field and he improved the place, and lichoira he should be paid for. Older brother doesn't expect to be paid. It's like a built-in mechila. Oh, if you don't expect to be paid, so I don't have to pay you. You're right that Shimon was driving to Zichron Yaakov thinking, okay, I'm going to have to pay. When Reuven sent him to Zichron, was he thinking I'm going to get $1? He mistama bought a shield. He went and hide somewhere. Who knows what he's going to do when he comes back? He knows he's not going to see $1 from this because the father's going to slam the door in his face. He was never expecting to get $1. Mimer is like a built-in mechila, and he doesn't get $1. Imagine. Bilam Arasha was hired to curse Klal Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu turns things around, and instead of curses, unbelievable blessings come. So Bilam runs to us and says, excuse me, pay me! Really? You want us to pay you? You were thinking of destroying Klal Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one who should be paid here. I think Shimon should increase the time he spends now in davening and learning and doing more chesed. You have to pay HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is all HaKadosh Baruch Hu's arrangement. Nothing to do as far as paying. Reuven the Shadchan. And for Shadchanim, you have to remember what the Chaim Palaji says. What's the Rashi Tevus of the word Shadchan? Sheker doiver kesef noitel. A shadchan is not only in matching couples. Shadchan is a person who tries to sell things, a broker. Shadchan, shin dalet chaf nun, sheker doiver, he will say lies. Kesef, noiter, but money he will know how to take. That's a prime palaji. But what about Hakar Satoif? Fine, you don't want to pay him, we're not going to pay him. Hakar Satoif, do we owe him any Hakar Satoif? Shimon says, listen, after all, he found me my wife. I don't have to pay him. What about Hakar Satoif?
You have to.
You have to. Anyone thinks you don't have to? Hakar Satoif, any appreciation towards Reuven who found him, his wife? Thank you. That's appreciation. I'm not talking about how big an appreciation, but you're saying there is a built-in minimal appreciation. You're saying no appreciation?
Saying someone takes a gun and tries to shoot you and misses you.
He didn't do a favor. He just didn't cause you any damage. This guy changed your life forever. Now you have a wife. Successive generations walking in the path of HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We have beautiful psukim from Bill, but we have no Hakar Satoif for him.
No Hakar Satov, and that's why you say Matovu Alecha every single morning in Shachis, you and Klal Yisrael for generations? You don't think he benefits upstairs?
Not from us. We hold him in very low regard when we talk about Bill Murrah.
We do. The Gemara in Gittin Nun Zayin. But don't you think that when we say Matovu Alecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls Binam, look, another person said your pasuk. You move up a notch. You don't think so? They do it to Rashi. Every time you learn Rashi is elevated. Why not Bilam? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mekapeach schar birya. His intention was bad. But Lemai is something good came out of it. Something very good. He get a wife.
Moshe was afraid of that.
Ooh-wah! You hear a source? But before this source, at the end of Parshas Chukas, is the Medrash Rabbah in Shemois, Perek Aleph, Lamed Beis, Lev, the heart of the matter. The Medrash says, the daughters of Yisrael went with the animals. They had an issue with the shepherds. They didn't allow any water for the animals, right? But there's a double language there. Vegam dalo dala lano. He drew water. The Egyptian man came. That's what they're telling their father Yisrael. You know what happened? Don't ask. An Egyptian man came and he helped us. He drew water and allowed their animals to drink. But the puzzle is doubling up. He drew water. Why are you saying it twice? So the Medrash says, not only did the shepherds not allow any water for them, they actually took the daughters of Yisrael and they threw them into the water. They're about to die. Moshe comes and takes them out. That's the first dala. And then he also allows water. He draws water for the animals. And they say, Yeshikoyach, thank you. Who are you? Thank you so much. And he says, why are you thanking me? Thank the Ish Mitzri, the Egyptian that I killed in Mitzrayim, and because of that power, he wanted to kill me, so I had to run here. So if you want to thank someone, it's not me. It's the Egyptian that I killed. Tell me, did the Egyptian over there that he killed had any idea, because of this, the daughters of Yisrael will be saved because of me? Did he intend to do any good to anybody? And the Medrash over there gives an example. A person was bitten by a snake. So he runs to the water, thinking it's going to help him. He puts his foot in the water. Oh, it feels so much better now. But then he feels a head of a little kid. Oh, there's a kid here. He takes him out and saves his life. And the kid says, wow, thank you so much, you saved my life. He says, why are you thanking me? Thank the snake. If it wasn't for the snake that bit me, I wouldn't be here. What do you see from here? There's an appreciation even for a person who never intended to do good for you. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz is a medayik from here in Sichus Moisa, that even if a person didn't intend to do good for you, you owe him appreciation. But based on that, I have a problem with Chayei Sara-Path. I have a problem understanding Chayei Sara-Path. I see the Medrash, and I see the diuk of Reb Chaim Shmulevitz. But Chayei Sara-Path says exactly the opposite. Shar avodas ha'eloikim. Chayei Sara-Path says, listen to the language. If we will benefit from someone who never intended to do us good, I don't owe him anything. Reb Chaim Shmulevitz says, you better say thank you to him. Chayei Sara-Path says, no, you don't. I asked my Rebbe, Ibn Shlita, he says, Chiyuv Midina, there isn't. There's no obligation. But Musar-wise, you're high appreciation. Good. I went to Chaim Kanievsky. I said, Rebbe, how do you settle these two sources? So Chaim says to me, that's for the Goyim. But Chayei Sara-Path says that you don't owe appreciation, that's for the Goyim, not for Jews. So I told him, so Reb Chaim Shmulevitz is saying that for a Jew, I'm chayav hakaras tov no matter what, even if he doesn't intend to do good, which applies to us in the case of Reuven, who did not try to benefit Shimon, he sent him a Zichron Yaakov. But for a guy, I'm not chayav. So to me, Reb Chaim, yeah. I said, Rebbe, but the Medrash is talking about an Egyptian man, he wasn't so Jewish. He says, yeah, because this is before Matan Torah, there were no Jews and non-Jews. But now that there are, the Jewish person, you're chayav, to a goy not. I said, Rebbe, but the Medrash is bringing a mashal about the snake. The snake is not so Jewish. He said to me, you're right. But the snake, you will call us a toiv. I said, Rebbe, so it comes out that the snake is better than this Eino Yehudi. He says, you're right. Chidushim. So maybe Shimon owes some hakaras hatoiv to Reuven as of Musa, but not a chiyuv mitzad adin. But it could be that all the choivas alvavos is talking about a person who's parv. He didn't intend to help you. But in this case, Reuven tried to hurt Shimon and to cause him a bitul Torah. To go all the way to Zichron Yaakov, waste his, 4, 5, 6 hours in buses back and forth. He tried to harm him. Maybe in that case, it's not even an appreciation. But, here's the but from you, before you were looking for. Nazir Chav Gimel. The Gemara talks about the famous concept we all know. Always should a person be engaged in Torah mitzvahs, even if he doesn't feel like it. לעולם יעסוק אדם בתורה ומצווה, אפילו שלא לשמה. Why? שמתוך שלא לשמה, בא לשמה. Learn. You don't feel like it? Learn. אם it's Hashem, מתוך שלא לשמה, will come. Where do we learn this concept from? How do you know? Where do the Gemara know this from? From Balak. The Gemara proves this from Balak. Balak did something very, very low lishma. Very not lishma. What did he do? He brought 42 korbanos for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For what? For what reason? To destroy Klal Yisrael. But you brought korbanos for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know what you get? Rebetzin Rus comes from you, which means Melech HaMashiach. So Torah says, the Gemara says, always learn Torah, even if it's not lishma. Maybe you'll get a Melech HaMashiach coming from you. No intention to do anything good for anybody. And not just no intention, not parv. Trying to harm. And similar to the end of Parshas Chukas. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Moshe, you're about to fight Oig? Al tira. Don't be afraid. Why should I be afraid? I already fought his brother. What's Oig's brother's name? Also a giant just like him. Sichon. I fought him. It was very easy. And you didn't warn me. Don't be afraid. But when I'm about to fight Oig, his brother, don't be afraid. Why should I be afraid? Rashi, Sifsei Chachamim expands based on the Medrash. Oig had a zchus that he's carrying for hundreds of years. This is the same Oig from the time of Avram. He's the Palit. He's the one who somehow was saved from Teivas Noach. Oig came to Avram and said, do you know, your nephew was kidnapped. Yasher koyach to you, Avram Avinu goes to war and rescues Lot. Wow, what a tzaddik. Oig is he a tzaddik? Why did he do it? Because he wanted Avram to go to war and die so he can marry Sarah. And yet, he has such a gigantic zchus that Moshe Rabbeinu potentially is afraid. So Kodesh Baruch Hu says, don't fear. I will hand him in your hands. Don't worry, you will win. Which means you do have a zchus. Even hundreds of years later when you're trying to harm someone. So that's going to go against what we said. But maybe that's how Kodesh Baruch Hu pays. The way we have to conduct ourselves with people, lichoira, based on our sources, he doesn't owe him any appreciation. He should charge him for bitul Torah. Bitul Torah is a big thing. So lichoira doesn't have to pay him anything, and also no appreciation. Reb Chaim Kanievsky said that somebody once came to consult with the Chazon Ish regarding a shidduch. He was asking about a certain bachur, and he says to the Chazon Ish, how's the yiras shamayim of this bachur? Chazon Ish says, it could be better. So the father understood it to mean, everybody has to improve. I also have to improve my yiras shamayim. And he continues and he says, Berebe, how's this a smada? And Chazon Ish says, it could be better. So the father understood that the Chazon Ish is saying, it's very good. There's always room for growth. So the father says to the Chazon Ish, how's this lomdis? Iyun has his brain. It could be better. So the father understood that there's always room for growth. Strive to become better, you too. He went out. 3 weeks later, His daughter got engaged to this Bachur. Chazoni said to Reb Chaim, when the Shidduch is supposed to happen, it's going to happen. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes away the seichel of a person, his ability to see and to interpret very clear things. Could be better means it's not for you. But if HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the Shidduch to go through, it's going to go through. You know why? Because Shidduchim are from Shamayim. How do you know Shidduchim from Shamayim? The word Shidduch itself indicates it. Shidduch has the letters Shin and Dalet and Yud. That's the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what's left when you take Shin and Dalet and Yud? Vav and Chav. That's 26. Yud K Vav K. Shidduch is all made in heaven. And one who thinks, but you know, if I had more money, I would be able to get this chassan. I would be able to get this daughter-in-law. I would be able, if my son or daughter were fatter, thinner, shorter, taller, that's lack of emunah. Shidduchim are made in Shamayim. You're getting exactly what you're supposed to be getting. And the Baskol that declares, this person going to marry this person came out many, many years ago. A long, long time ago. Shidduchim are made in Shamayim, and we should have bitachon and emunah. Rabbi Isai, another shaila. Shidduchim, weddings. Reuven is walking in the street. It's a different Reuven. Reuven is walking in the street, and he meets his friend Shimon. Oh, Reuven, Shalom Aleichem. Reuven looks at Shimon. Why are you dressed up so nicely? What is this? Shabbos attire. Where are you going? I'm going to a wedding. A very nebech type of a wedding. Not too many people are going to be there. Do me a favor. You know how to dance very well. Join me. Be mesamech hasan v'kala. I don't know the people. I'm not going to a wedding. I don't know. He said, it's a big mitzvah. It's a big mitzvah. He convinced him and he came. Reuven starts dancing like there's no tomorrow. And he's really mesamech them. Hasan, kala, parents, everybody. He dances very well. Gewaldig. He sits down, drinks something, and Shimon comes to him and says, listen, not only do you know how to dance, you know how to speak. Ooh. Pe, mefik, margalios, diamonds and pearls come out of your mouth. Say a few words. Be mesamech. Say some nice words about the Hasan. I don't know the guy. It's a difference. Get up and say something. Mitzvah. I don't know the guy. Say something. Fine. He gets up and he starts saying, he's very charismatic and he knows what to do. And he says, you know, this Hasan, noble soul. Always thinks about the other. Never thinks about himself. He doesn't stop giving. He is a chesed machine. This Hasan is the biggest this and the biggest that. And the father of the Kala is listening. Wow, I just won the lottery. And such simcha. When he finished the speech, the father of the Kala comes over with an envelope, 1,000 shekels. And Reuven refuses to receive it. I don't want it. Mitzvah. You have to take it. You caused me such simcha. And everybody else around you. You speak so nicely. Take this money. I'm not taking money. The mitzvah. I'm not taking money. Take it. He took it. Ad kana kofi aleph. 3 months later, starts a kafa base. Reuven heard the couple got divorced. The Beis Din paskind that the Hasan is a person who is discourteous, rude, never thinks about anybody else, doesn't know what the word compromise means, only thinks about himself, takes, never gives. Exactly the opposite of every single thing Reuven said. Comes Reuven and asks a question. They have to give back the money. Why did the father of the Kala give you the money? Mekach taus, if I would have known the lies you just said, you think I would give you the money? No. Mekach taus.
He wants the money then?
Reuven wants to know what the halacha demands. What HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me to do. Keep the money or not?
I think you should leave the country.
Leave the country with the money or without the money?
Does it matter that they got divorced?
That's Reuven's shaila.
I'm saying, what if he just find out that he doesn't know him and he just made it up?
If he didn't lie and he said what he is, but they had their own issues, fine. But he said exactly the opposite of every single midah that the Hasan have. Every single midah.
Nah, you can't know that.
No, but that's not relevant.
He can't know that, so why'd you open your mouth if you don't know it?
The point here is he paid him the money for the simcha that he got from something that wasn't. The fact that they got divorced is almost
irrelevant. This shaila went to a very chashuv, a Beis Din in Bnei Brak, Very chashuv. And the Beis Din paskind that Reuven has to give him back the money. Why? Last week's Haftarah. What happened after? Anyone? So sick. Elisha. What happened there? There's a lady. He doesn't have anything. So Elisha says, what would you like me to do for you? Oh, I'm good. Gehazi comes to him and says, she's not good. Her husband is very old. She doesn't have, she needs a son. Give her a son. Elisha calls her over, Rebbetzin, you're going to have a son. Shortly after, the son dies. He goes to the field where his father was, and my head, such pain. He said, go back home. He goes back to his mother, and he collapses, and he dies. Before going to the Chevet Kadisha, she runs back to Elisha. Elisha! Why did you mislead me? You told me you're going to have a son. You think I want a son with an expiration date of 3 years? What is this? Why did you mislead me? And based on this, Beis Din in Bnei ruled that misleading someone is very, very severe. He has to give back all the money. I don't understand anything of this psak. I think it's exactly the opposite, and we can actually not only prove the opposite, reject this raya, throw it out the window. Why? All kinds of reasons. First of all, this chassan has cheskas kashrus. A yid has cheskas kashrus, right? Kosher yid. I have to think all these negative character traits? Tell me, what are you doing here in the wedding? I have to assume that the kala side checked him out, and they verified that he's good for them, with whatever baggage he's bringing or not. He's cheskas kashrus. I don't have to be smarter than you. Reuven couldn't think that he's going to have all these. So Mimele, what he's saying is like Beis Hillel in Ksubis Yud Zayin, that say you can say Kala na v'chasuda, and she's totally not chasuda, but you're allowed to lie or change from the truth to say that to gladden the heart of the chassan. You're allowed to do the same to gladden the heart of the kala. If he would lie, so much to say this is one of the Lamed Vav Tzaddik in the generation. Do you know he's a Mekubal? He knows all the secrets. But even then, he wouldn't have to give back the money. You know why? Because who would believe that? It's ridiculous. An 18-year-old guy getting married. He is Rashki Bahag, Maran, Roisha. No one would believe it. It's customary to exaggerate when you're speaking and praising the chassan or the kala. Reuven never asked for money for his drasha. It's not like he's working for you and you can call Mekach Taus. In fact, when you offered him the money, he said no. You forced him to take the money. So it's definitely not malice. He wasn't intending to do this in order to get something from you. He said, I don't want the money. So he wasn't misled by Reuven. Chas v'sholom. This proof is trying to bring from Elisha, we should reject it. First of all, Elisha is a Navi. So when I tell you as a Navi, don't mislead me, and she warned him ahead of time, make sure you don't mislead me here. I'm turning to a Navi. You know the future. So much so that you can promise me I'm going to have a kid, and you're right. So you also know this kid is going to last for a very short time. Don't mislead me. Was Reuven warned by the father of the Kala, make sure you stick to the Emes. Only stick to the Emes. Nobody warned him. And you can't expect Reuven to know the truth because he only got up here and started talking after he was forced to. He didn't have preparation to check out who this guy is. The fact that they're all here at the wedding, the Kala side with all their friends, means that they did the necessary investigation and figured out it's good for them. The Isha Shunamis warned Elisha, make sure, do not fail your maidservant. She warned him. And after the fact, it's very severe. Did we find that Elisha was penalized? He had to pay her back money? We don't find such a thing. So even if you want to bring this as a proof, what proof is this? Who says I have to give back the money? Even if it's something severe to mislead a person. It seems that the reason the father paid him is because he caused him simcha. Not because he revealed him all kinds of secrets that I had no idea about. The secrets I found out before, and that's why I'm here at the wedding. You caused me simcha. You caused all my friends simcha. You made me look good in front of my friends. That's why I'm paying you. And more than that, let's say they would get divorced after 20 years of marriage. Then either they were be courageous enough to finally break it, or now she finds out all these character traits. Oh, terrible, terrible things. You'd also go to the Reuven and say, oh, give back the money? It's ridiculous. So what's the cutoff line? So 3 months later you're saying give back the money, and 20 years later, no? Where'd you get this from? What's the proof to what I'm saying? A shadchan. The shadchan made a shidduch. They get divorced after 3 months. Does he have to pay back? No. What is his job? To bring it to closing. Meet the boy, girl, shidduch, finished, even before the wedding. If the minhag, and that's the minhag in most places, that shadchan gets paid as soon as they close, you don't wait until the wedding. So if a week later they break off the shidduch, he doesn't have to pay back because he did his job. Reuven's job, that he's not even hired to do, it's just a chesed, was to be mesameach, the father of the kala, and he did just that. Mimere, he doesn't have to pay. But I don't want to go, I guess that's very chashuv based in it by myself, so I go to my Rebbe. Reb Chaim Kanievsky Zatzal, Rebbe, do you agree with me? Reb Chaim writes me a letter, a big chiddush in this letter. He decides to break down the different points that I wrote down and write on every point what he thinks. So is this an exaggerated, you exaggerate, but there's a point how much you can exaggerate. Is this disqualified type of exaggeration? Reb Chaim writes to me, Kulam yodim shekach medabrim. Everybody knows that that's what people say. He never asked for money. The father of the kala decided to give him. He says to me, Nachon, you're right. Rejecting the proof from Elisha, he writes to me, Emes. I write, the father of the kala decided to pay him because he gladdened his heart and the heart of his guests. He writes to me, Pashut. And what I wrote, he doesn't have to give back the money, just like he wouldn't have to give back the money if they were divorced after 20 years. He says to me, Ein Sarich. Ein Sarich, obviously he wouldn't write Ein Sarich. That's a waste of ink for Reb Chaim. He writes Aleph Tzadi, Rashi Tevos. What's the chiddush in this answer? 8 words! Normally Reb Chaim is, no, Ken, Ulai, Efshar, Yitochen, Ein Sarich, which again is one word, Aleph Tzadi. Here, he decided to write 8 words. Baruch Hashem. We can't finish this without telling you a maaseh. A friend told me, he wrote a shtickle Torah to Reb Chaim. And he said, brilliant. What I wrote is really brilliant. That's how he described his chiddush. Well, okay. He sends it to Reb Chaim. A week and a half later, he gets the letter back. He opens the letter, tiny little word at the corner. Ulai. They're very upset, Reb Chaim. He says, what kind of business is that? I wrote something which I'm telling you is brilliant. He writes me back, Ulai. What is that? I said to him, you're Meshigeh. Do you know the favor that Reb Chaim did for you now? Before Reb Chaim decided to write those 4 letters, Ulai, he took the pen. And when he was taking the pen and putting it into the paper, he was scanning the entire Shas Bavli, the entire Shas Yerushalmi, the entire Tosefta and Midrashin, Rambam, Zohar, Shulchan Aruch, and all the poskim. And he saw there's no opposing idea to what you're saying. So it could be that this is emes. Understand what favor Reb Chaim did to you? This person, Reuven, also asked, was I allowed to do what I did? Was I allowed to stand there and give this drasha in front of people? So I don't have to give back the money. Was I allowed to? Obviously, it's pashut that he's allowed to. It's normal to exaggerate. We said in Ksubis Yudzayin Amud Aleph Machlokes Besiler and Beshamer, we pass like Besiler. That you say kala na v'chasuda. It's not just kala na v'chasuda. It's also chasan na v'chasud. Unless you know for a fact that you're lying, that you shouldn't do. But it's a good eitzah not to open your mouth when you don't know chasan or kala or anyone else. Don't speak about people when you don't know. Do a little more investigation, a few more minutes, get some information, then you'll be able to. Hashem, we should all have a wonderful, pleasurable, inspirational, memorable Shabbos. Shabbos Avoisai.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.